Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because we're tackling something that literally transforms the way you experience one of the most iconic digital worlds ever created. We are talking about mastering the neon-soaked skies of Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Our whole goal in this explainer is to find the absolute best choppers in the game, learn exactly how to get our hands on them, and, figure out how to actually keep them. So if you've ever found yourself staring up at that Vice City skyline, wishing you could just completely bypass the chaos on the streets below, you are in the exact right place.
Look, we've all been there, right? Dodging erratic AI drivers, desperately outrunning the cops just to get from Little Havana over to Vice Point. It gets sold. You really need a fast travel solution. And in this game, helicopters are the ultimate, undisputed kings of traversal. Like, driving around the city is fun for a while, sure, but eventually you just need a way to soar directly to your destination without hitting a single frustrating roadblock.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to start with the first tier of helicopters, what we like to call the everyday Mavericks. Think of these as your fast travel workhorses. Now, they aren't heavily armed, they definitely don't have military-grade armor, but man, are they reliable. They're super easy to fly, and they're absolutely crucial for getting from point A to point B in seconds rather than minutes. These are the choppers you're going to rely on for about, I'd say, 80% of your late-game map traversal.
Now, finding these Mavericks requires knowing exactly where to look. Your first two major hotspots are the Hyman Memorial Stadium and the downtown helipad. Let's break these down. Once you've progressed just a bit through the main story, a Maverick will often start spawning right on the upper level of the Hyman Memorial Stadium. You don't need any wild tricks to get up there. Just use the nearby ramps or the stairs and jog right up to the roof. Super accessible. Then, over in the downtown district near all those massive office buildings, there's a dedicated helipad where another Maverick frequently spawns. That specific spot? It's absolutely perfect if your goal is exploring Vice City's skyscrapers and hunting down those hidden rooftop secrets.
But hey, if we're talking about pure, unadulterated convenience, it really doesn't get better than this, the Vercetti estate. After you finally beat those incredibly intense Diaz missions, Tommy takes over that massive central mansion. And your reward for all that hard work? A Maverick begins spawning right on the mansion's rooftop. So the absolutely crucial point here is that this becomes arguably the most convenient helicopter in the entire game. Why? Well, because the Vercetti estate is your main safe house. You can literally save your game, walk up a flight of stairs, and instantly take to the skies. Zero travel time required.
And this brilliantly illustrates how all our civilian options stack up. Notice the prerequisites here? The stadium and downtown locations? They just require general story progression. But you gotta finish those Diaz missions to secure the Vercetti estate spawn. And looking at their best use cases, the stadium is your reliable general fast travel point, downtown is your skyscraper exploration hub, and the estate is your ultimate immediate post-save launchpad. Seriously, keep a mental map of where these workhorses are located. It will save you hours of driving.
All right, time to graduate. Let's move past the standard civilian Mavericks and get into the specialty and faction shoppers. This is where things get really interesting, because it introduces a brand new element, risk versus reward. These choppers offer awesome, unique roleplay elements, special paint jobs, and sometimes even slightly different handling. But the catch? Acquiring them isn't always as simple as just strolling up some stairs. You have to put in a little extra effort, and, well, sometimes you have to break the law.
You can really see that risk versus reward dynamic when we compare our next two options. On the left, you've got the Vice City News Maverick. Super low risk. It's corporate, rocks that iconic news company paint job, and after a certain point in the story, it's incredibly easy to access. Just head up to the VCN building rooftop. But if you want to lean into the whole law enforcement roleplay with the Police Maverick on the right, you've got to head to police headquarters. And you can't just take the elevator, you have to carefully navigate to the roof using nearby buildings or drop in from another aircraft. It definitely requires a bit of trespassing to pull off.
And speaking of trespassing, that brings us to Escobar International Airport. As you progress, you're going to notice several helicopters actually appearing inside the airport area. Seems like a total gold mine, right? Well, hold on, because there's a massive catch. Entering these restricted zones at the airport is highly illegal. The second you cross those gates, you are guaranteed a swift, incredibly dangerous wanted level. You are basically trading easy access to multiple choppers for an immediate police chase. You gotta be fast, grab the chopper and fly off before they literally shoot you out of the sky.
But if you're already willing to brave the authorities, you might as well go for the absolute biggest prize in the game. Deep inside the heavily guarded Fort Baxter Air Base lies the ultimate military prize, the single most powerful vehicle in all of Vice City. Just approaching this base means dealing with highly armed soldiers who absolutely will not hesitate to take you out on sight. You have to be fully prepared for a serious, highly lethal fight just to get past the gates. But let me tell you,
What is waiting inside is worth every single ounce of effort.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is, before you can even think about storming Fort Baxter, you have a massive prerequisite to fulfill: 100. That ultimate chopper will not even spawn until you have scoured the entire map and collected all 100 hidden packages. That's right, every single one. Actually, scratch that. It's not just a prerequisite, it's a massive undertaking. It's a true test of your dedication to exploring every single alleyway, rooftop, and hidden corner of this game.
But man, when you finally snag that 100th package and survive the absolute gauntlet at Fort Baxter, you are rewarded with the Hunter. And it is simply the strongest attack helicopter in Vice City, period. The thing is an absolute monster. It comes fully equipped with lethal, rapid-fire machine guns and highly destructive, incredibly powerful missiles. Once you're sitting in the pilot seat of the Hunter, you are virtually untouchable. It takes surviving that military base and turns it from a total suicide mission into the single most rewarding heist in the game.
So okay, you've got your Mavericks, maybe you stole a police chopper, or hey, maybe you even unlocked the mighty Hunter. The absolute worst thing that can happen now is losing your hard-earned aircraft. That is why we are shifting focus to some rapid-fire Essential Pro Pilot survival tips, because flying the chopper, that's only half the battle. Understanding the mechanics of how the game handles these vehicles is the real secret to keeping them in your arsenal.
Let's run through these crucial rules of helicopter ownership real quick. First up, despawn rules. Listen to this closely. Helicopters will disappear if you leave the area for too long. If you park it on the street to go grab a soda, do not expect it to be there when you get back. Second, save game mechanics. The very moment you unlock permanent helicopter spawns, go save your game. Lock that progress in. Third, never forget that completing story missions is what unlocks more locations. If a chopper isn't spawning, push the narrative forward. And finally, my absolute favorite tip, dominating vigilante missions. If you trigger those missions while piloting the Hunter, you are going to be completely unstoppable. The Hunter's missiles wipe out targets so fast, making it literally the best vehicle for maxing out your vigilante levels and racking up massive amounts of cash.
So we've covered the reliable everyday Mavericks, the risky roleplay heavy faction choppers, and the literal flying tank that is the Hunter. We've mapped out the prerequisites, the locations, and the survival tips to keep you airborne. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this. Look at the sky over Vice City. Which chopper are you taking to the skies? Are you going to play it safe and launch from the Vercetti estate? Or are you hunting down all 100 packages to absolutely reign supreme in the Hunter? The choice is yours, pilot. Get back in there and claim the skies. Thanks so much for joining me on the explainer, and as always, keep learning.